What I want to do is spend some time talking to those who've been involved in the Indian Olympics movement to understand from them what can we do between now and the 26th of July, 3 years from now, which is when the Paris Summer Olympic Games will start, so that India is able to further enhance, not just marginally, but substantially, its medals tally. So I have with me on this broadcast Ashish Balal, one of our best known hockey players. Ayaz Memon joins us, Manisha Malhotra joins us, as does Sunil Gavaskar. Let me go across first to Manisha Malhotra, who's been involved as the sports excellence and scouting head for JSW Sports in a lot of these players. When you look back at the Olympics in Tokyo, how do you assess your own performance? Where is it that you think you outdid what you'd set out? Where is it that you think you fell short? And if we were to get you to spend some time focusing on what needs to be done between now and Paris to further enhance our tally, what would be your key lookouts? Manisha.
Well, I think there's a lot that could be done. And I think there was a lot of shortcomings until pretty much the last day. As far as my organization goes, we need to kind of now focus. Of course, it's always this like for Paris, preparing winners in Paris, it does not start today or tomorrow or day after. It has started 4 years ago already. Now we have even Neeraj on his way. This is just one of the events in the course of his career. So I mean, obviously now he's celebrating and it's a little break, but the preparation continues for no matter where you stand in a medal tally or where you stand in your career. And as far as we go, I think it's important. Shooting was a big disappointment. I think that needs to be a sport.
Why do you think, as someone who's involved with so many of the shooters, why do you think the performance of our shooting team was so underwhelming at Tokyo, and what can be done to fix that for Paris?
Well, I mean, I think there's a whole plethora of reasons. I think that as much as Neeraj probably benefited from the COVID postponement, the shooters were hurt by it. I think that the shooters were very, very sharp in 2020. They were coming off great results in the World Cups. They were having good competition, and they had a regular competition. And then everything stopped. And shooting is a sport which has such small margins, and it's so, you know, the proverbial edge is so thin. When you go into a shooting arena and there's, 40 competitors, any of those 40 can win on that day. So it's a very, very tight kind of sport. And for that, to be able to sustain top form for many periods and longer periods of durations, like over a couple of years, for example, is a little, I mean, it's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. I think that what the shooting could have probably done better was manage, the coaching staff was definitely not up to par. I think the coaches were not prepared for the Olympics. They were young. They are a little bit inexperienced, and that's okay. That's fair. It's a learning experience for everybody. But when the wheels started to fall off a little bit, everybody kind of panicked, and that's, I mean, it's part of the game. I think that, as they say in sport, either you're winning or you're learning. So they're in the learning category, as so we speak. Archery, of course, was a disappointment, but that seems to be a perennial. I mean, every Olympics, I've been involved with archery for many years earlier. JSW does not support archery, but it's always been heartbreak. And I think that the system, the whole overall system within the archery and how it's run in the country is just flawed at so many levels. And I think that really needs to kind of have a
little
bit
of nerves? Overhaul. Especially in these precision sports, is it nerves that gets to our players right in the end when they're winning world championships and people aren't tracking as closely as they're at the Olympics? But is it nerves that kind of box them down?
Well, I mean, it is a big stage. It is the Olympics. But now these are experienced people. Like, they're not people who are just going in green. And for the kids who went into the Olympics as shooters, for example, a couple of them were young, but then there were also a couple of them in their second Olympics. So they should have known what to expect, one, and should have trained for that, two. But in terms of archery, it's not nerves. I mean, Deepika Kumari was fighting against the Korean, and she beat her 6-0 in the Tokyo Test event 3 months ago. And so how does that completely flip and you lose 6-0 3 months later? It's something that is amiss, and that is preparation. So you've not prepared yourself for the biggest stage, and you may have prepared yourself for a World Cup or even a World Championship, but you've definitely not prepared yourself for the Olympic Games. And that's what is in these precision sports where the margins are so thin, is probably something that we need to focus on. And everybody in India seems to say, yeah, we need mental trainers, and everybody goes with a consult to the mental trainer. But that's not how it works. It's just like how you train your fitness, just like how you train your skill in your sport. that's how you need to train your mind to be able to be, you know, getting ready for the Olympics and then succeeding at the Olympics.
Ashish Balal, the world now knows Shri Jesh. Long before that, there was Ashish Balal. 275 international matches, 1992 Barcelona Olympics, the 1990 World Cup, 3 World Champions Trophy tournaments, 2 Asian Games, 2 Asia Cups. As someone who saw the men and women's hockey team, if we were to change the color of the medal for the men's hockey team from bronze possibly to gold, and for women's to go from 4 to maybe 1 or 2, what are the gaps that you think we need to plug? What's the journey for the next 3 years?
I think the journey is they are on the right track. The more exposure, I think the team benefited hugely because of the 1-year extension. The team were together for the whole part of 1 year, and I think that has really helped this team bond, and they gel well. I think the coach, we've got a fantastic coach. The men's and women's coach have done an incredible job. The fitness levels were the best I've seen in an Olympic Games of the national team. And these are positives for the Indian team. And the margin of victory and losing is very, very thin. You saw matches could have gone either way. And that's what we really need to work at. We play three quarters good hockey, 5 minutes of slack hockey, and you'll end up as a bronze medal. And that's we need to close that gap, and that will happen with experience, with confidence, with self-belief. And I'm sure that Hockey India, as well as the coaches, will work on that level. But on the long run, I still believe a lot of hard work has to be done at a grassroots level, at a junior program. We need a continuous movement, churning out of players, producing players to replace some of our older players. And that is not happening. And I would like Hockey India to really look at that, the sports ministry to look at that, to have a good grassroots program, a good junior India program, and a team producing and giving them exposure so that they can be easily replacing people, and there's a competition between the teams. I think now you see that there is hardly any competition in the team. People are selecting themselves very easily and have been taking themselves for granted. That should not set in. There should be always tough competition. One should be able to challenge each other for a place in the team, and that will really improve the structure in the team and improve the levels of fitness and the focus in the game.
Menon, do you have specific suggestions on what we need to do with hockey? Because, you know, one of the things that struck me as a lay viewer is that in some of the matches, when they came inside the Indian D, the opponents were able to push for penalty corners. But this has been happening for many years. One would assume that we'd wisen up. If we were to go from bronze to gold, specific ideas from you on what we need to do and how we should be shaping up over the next 3 years. Ayaz, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can, Rahul. Sorry. Look, I think, you know, what this Olympics has shown is that between the top 8-10 teams, there's not much to choose now. But I'll just reiterate the point that Manisha made in respect of the other sports, and also Ashish has made, that at the Olympic level, at the world level, you're either winning or losing by decimals in events like shooting or archery, or when it comes to field sports like hockey and some of the others, it's with hard-nosed data which is telling you how you can turn a minor advantage from, you know, into a silver or a gold. I think what we've seen in this tournament is how much precision is involved in hockey today. It's no longer a game, Maidan pe utar gaye, Maidan jeet lenge, we'll show our dribbling skills and we'll go. No. You know, you have to last for 70 minutes. That's why the rolling substitution has become so important. And therefore, who do you bring in as a substitute? What is that person's role going to be? For 2 minutes, 3 minutes, the penalty corner conversions, who your opponent is, how does the goalkeeper move, you know, in terms of from data? Is he doing 8 times out of 10 moving to his right? How does the rusher move, etc., etc.? It's become a very high profile, high precision game, and that's where I think the success or otherwise of Indian sport, not just in hockey, rests. If you want, you know, to be in the top 10 in the medals tally, which is ballpark figures about 28, 30 medals in the next 25, 30 years, unless you cover this gap, these decimal gaps, you're going to not make too much progress. And I think that's the challenge going ahead. The next Olympics is just 3 years away. If you start building now your coaching methods, your mental conditioning at the age of 8, 10, 12, 15, 16, good habits are learned then, bad habits are also learned at that age group. Your coaches need to be fantastic. They need to be, really on target. And that's the way to go to become a really good sporting nation. Apart from the fact, I've been saying this all over and, every time almost as a mantra, you have to focus on the girl child, get your women into participating in sports. This Olympics has proved yet again what talent exists. And if you've got 50% of the population of whom you're exploiting, only 6 or 7% of the girls play in India, and very few of them reach the elite level, then you can't become a sporting nation. If that number increases from 6 to 7 to 26 or 36 and up to 50, in the medalist tally today, which we've got from America and from the US and China, if you look at the distribution of medals, you'll find that it's almost 50-50. So if you don't get your girl child in, your women in, you are not going to become a strong
So, Mr. Gavaskar, someone who's been watching sports outside of cricket closely, what do you think the Tokyo Olympic Games means in the journey of the Indian Olympics movement? Do you think this could be, in some senses, a harbinjar for a huge uptick in Olympic sports in India?
Absolutely. There's no question about it, because while we've been winning medals in the Olympics for the last 4 Olympics, this particular Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics, because of the coverage that was seen, because of whether it was in the print or the electronic media, I believe that it has reached all corners of India, and because of which, seeing the medal winners on the podium, hearing the national anthem playing in the background, and your country's flag fluttering, I think that is going to be something which is so inspirational that there'll be many, many more people taking up to various sports, various disciplines of sport, and India should be a medal-winning country, not just in single digits, but in double digits very, very soon.
We were seeing you part of the commentary team, very charged up. We saw the hits, the misses in Tokyo. What do you think needs to be done between now and Paris for India to be able to substantially enhance the number of medals we come back with?
Look, I think the base has been set. The base has been set. I think you can see that there is an understanding all round that you need to have a proper infrastructure. That is being gradually built. You look at the national games, and the stadia that is built. Often after the games are done in that particular city, that stadia is not used. I think that is what we need to look at. The stadia that has been built over there for the national games, you make sure that you have regular competitions there so that stadia is used. Also, I think, the fact that, along with it, you'll get the training facilities, the kind of, coaching and support staff that our athletes have had, particularly the hockey teams, that has been absolutely fantastic. Sometimes you need an outside perspective, not just a perspective from India. And when that comes in, I think you will be able to get more medal winners. But obviously, the fact that, these sports persons have to be given every encouragement, and particularly an arm needs to be put around their shoulders when they don't perform well. It's easy to, to pat somebody's back, but to be able to, put an arm around the shoulders, particularly of our shooters. Our shooters were expected to win medals. They didn't win any. But when they have come back, I think we need to put an arm around their shoulders and tell them, never mind, because this is something that, there are others also who are all equally good. And maybe you just missed it by a whisker. You need to, you need to believe in yourself. And we're pretty certain that you will win the next time around. But don't sort of, dismiss them as if, they're, yes, there is disappointment. But that disappointment has to be tempered with optimism as well.
As someone who's dealt with so much pressure at the highest level of sport yourself, what do you think is the difference between someone like a Neeraj Chopra who relishes the big stage, the pressure that comes with it, goes out and gives his best, versus some of the others, and I won't get into any names, who had the potential, had the capability, were winning at World Championships, but at the Olympic stage failed to perform their best? And What would be your advice? Because 3 years isn't so far down, about what these athletes should be doing to cope with the extra pressure that the Olympic stage brings with it.
Well, I mean, these are different sports, and every sport comes with its own, demands and pressures and expectations. So I really wouldn't be able to generalize. But what Neeraj Chopra seemed to have done the best was he gave it everything in his first 2 throws. And so when his first 2 throws went past 87, the pressure was on the others. The pressure was on the others that they could afford to slacken down. And then you had, as he himself has mentioned, then you had the javelin champion called Vetter, who had consistently thrown 90 meters. But because of that pressure of which Neeraj Chopra put on him by throwing his first 2 throws well past 87, Vetter wasn't able to do anything. Now, again, this is something that we have to understand, along with the disappointment that you talked about our archers and about our shooters. Here is a champion who has thrown 90 in about 16 or 17 times before this Olympics. And he wasn't able to get anywhere near that mark at all. So also our shooters, earlier on, they've been shooting, and are winning titles, world titles, and are world number 1, 2, and 3. And over here, something went wrong. But that doesn't mean that they don't have talent. Sometimes on a particular day, things do not work out. Maybe the wind factor. I'm a complete amateur about these kind of things. But in cricket, the wind factors, I'm pretty certain in archery and in shooting, the wind factor matters quite a bit. The equipment matters quite a bit. So all these things are something which the experts will actually tell you. But like I said, put an arm around their shoulders now. Put an arm around their shoulders, because they have actually shown you that they can win. They have shown you, yes, they didn't win at the Olympics, but they can win you the next time around if you put an arm around their shoulders and encourage them.
I think you make an important point. Put an arm around their shoulders, because they did try their best. And some of them truly are world champions. And the world didn't see it at Tokyo, but hopefully it will at Paris. Thank you very much. Sunil Gavaskar, Manisha Malhotra, Ashish Ballal and Ayaz Memon for joining me on the news track. We'll keep tracking the success, the celebrations of these stars and a lot more.